Welcome back, Fellowship family, to this week's episode of the Deeper Podcast. I am Doug Congdon, your host, and we are coming to the end of our series, First to Aid, which again has been an attempt to equip our congregation to be first-line responders to their community, family, and friends when they're going through moments of crisis. And so it is natural that we have our life care director and guru with us, Lorraine Haug. Welcome back, Lorraine.
Thank you, Doug.
Actually, I would say welcome back. Yeah, welcome back because you weren't here last week. Yeah, welcome back in. So we're ending the series this week. Tell us a little bit, how do you think it's gone from your perspective as a life care director, and what kind of conversations are you having with people?
Yeah. Wow. I think it's been very impactful because I'm just so thankful for all those who have stepped up to share their story, both on the podcast and on the panel, because that has given people the courage to come up and say, me too. Or people who are caring for people in these situations, the courage to come up and say, wow, this was very helpful, and do you have more resources for that? I remember the addiction week. I had a young man come up to me afterward, and I will never forget. He said, I had no idea what the service was about today. And I stayed up till 4 a.m. with a friend who just admitted they have an addiction.
Wow.
And he was
He woke up and made it to church somehow still.
I know, right?
That's impressive.
I was like, good for you. So then I kind of, walked him over, and he was able to talk further with Brian, who had shared his story. And that was just so wonderful to see. Yeah. And then I also had a grandmother who is trying to help her grandson, and she's weary. She was so weary. And the part of just setting healthy boundaries really just stood out to her. And she's like, can you kind of just maybe give me some ideas of that? And so we had a lovely conversation, and we've had a few emails since. So I think it's been great.
Good. I mean, I know you've borne a lot of the brunt of having to prepare stuff behind the scenes, and then you've put together a lot of resources in case people didn't know that stuff existed. Tell them a little bit about what you have out there. Yeah.
So I've put together resources almost each week. Of course, the 1 week with marriage would have been Bob. But we've put them all in the same place, and it's just a resource page, and you can get to it from the QR code. So.
Oh, okay.
Which is,
QR code that's been in the worship guide?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think
if they were just it's on our website, right? Can they just find it on our website? Is it linked from the life care page?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's a good question for Emma. Emma, can you come in
Emma,
here?
yeah. Emma, just feel free to yell that through the hall so we hear that. Pick that up. Okay.
That, and we also have always had a mental health referral card that we have. And I have, on one side, I have all of our classes that are in these categories that would be helpful in these categories. And then on the other side, I have all of the places and the therapists that we as a church would recommend and
that's
send people
big.
to. Yeah.
I get questions every couple months probably from a parent who's asking for help. So, and we have that at the Welcome Center?
Always at the Welcome Center. Okay. And I've just updated it with lots more resources as we've gone through this. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Lorraine. And thanks for all the work you put into this series.
You're welcome.
Yeah. This fourth week and final week, we're talking about death and what it looks like to come alongside people as they walk through the valley of the shadow of death, as Psalm 23 says. And so we have Reva Wywadis, who is graciously volunteered to be vulnerable with us, to share her story with us. Welcome, Reva.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. I would say now, pull that mic closer now, and that way you can relax a little bit. Yeah, no, just pull. Yeah, get it all the way up there. And then start off by telling people who don't know you a little bit about your story.
Well, I grew up in Manhattan, so not too far away, and went to school at K-State, or started my college career at K-State, I'll say. And that's where I met my husband. He came out to Kansas on a football scholarship.
Oh.
That was when K-State was not winning very many games, so I just have to confess.
You do, yeah, because I was immediately overwhelmed. I was like, wow, I want to hear more about this.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But I was in the band, and he played football, and when we joked about their horrible record, we always ended that conversation with, well, at least it got you to Kansas and you met me.
Yeah,
and
there you
so
go.
here we are.
That's great.
And then we moved to Topeka here in 1980. So
Okay.
we hadn't been married about a year after
Okay.
we got married. And
Moved for a job?
yes, he was applying for the Topeka Police Department and
Okay.
had gotten his letter that he had passed all the qualifications, and we had no more moved, and the city had a hiring
Oh, no.
freeze.
Oh,
So
no.
Oh,
here we
gosh.
were, and he didn't have a job.
Oh,
And,
no.
But he got on, took about a year before he actually got
okay.
hired. But and he did all kinds of jobs
Odd
in
jobs
the
in that year.
meanwhile, just to
Yeah.
keep the boat afloat.
Yeah.
But we've called Topeka our home, for all of those years.
Yeah.
And we had 3 amazing daughters, and they all still live here in the area.
Oh,
I've got
nice.
3 great son-in-laws
Nice.
and 3 incredible grandchildren.
Oh, 333.
Yes.
That's so nice.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So-
Keeps it nice and easy. What are you got? How old are your grandkids?
Oh, 20. Gosh, I should have tracked that down. 16, I think, and
Yeah.
12.
If you just say it with confidence, nobody's going to call
Okay.
you up and dispute
20,
it.
16, and 12.
Yeah, there you go. That's great. Okay, that's and then how did you guys come to FBC?
We started attending FBC in 2009. We
Okay.
had been engaged with a couple of other churches
Yeah.
between, from the time we moved here until then. We had typically been involved in a small church, and so
Yeah.
coming to FBC, we just didn't know if we were going to like the big church feel. But
Which in 2009 was it? Did it feel big still? Did it still
Well,
feel pretty big?
when you come from a church that's 80 to 100,
Yeah, okay,
and then
okay.
Yeah.
it felt very big.
Okay.
But we got plugged in and got involved in a community group.
Nice.
And
With who? Who are there? Are those people still around?
yes, Mitch and Fran Miller.
Yeah,
and
let's go. Okay.
I think in any church you just get plugged in, and that's how you really get
Yeah.
to feel a part of things. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
and then God uses that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 16 years you've been coming to
Wow.
FBC. That's
Yeah.
really awesome.
So
Yeah.
You were right behind me. I came in 2008. So
Oh, look at that. Okay, and
back in the gym.
I say
as we
08,
call it now.
09, we were. It was here at this site, just
but
in the gym.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
okay.
it took like 25 minutes to get out because
'Cause that-
those tiny doors.
And that atrium was packed with people. Okay, so that's what brought you to FBC to take the step into a big church. Was it just you'd heard some things?
Yeah, we had moved for one thing, and we're looking for something that would, I don't know, engage us at a different level.
Okay.
Sometimes being in a small church, it's a lot about being there and doing all the things that it takes to
Yeah.
run a church, and so
You're volunteering in like 8 different places.
Yeah. So we were just really looking for a place that would minister more to us and help us grow our personal relationship with the Lord, and we found that here.
Good. Had you guys always been believers? Did both of you grow up?
I was baptized as a teen,
Yeah,
and
okay.
we both grew up in Christian families. My parents were not as engaged in church early in my life.
Okay.
And when I hear Joe talk about Edith Tapper,
Yeah, Edith
we
Tapper.
had one of those neighbors
Oh,
that
nice.
took us to Vacation Bible School and to Sunday school. And then my parents started attending, and I actually got to see my mom and my grandma and her 2 sisters all be baptized.
Oh, that's
so that was
so cool.
kind of awesome.
Yeah.
That is great.
What a treasure.
Yes. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what happened with Walt.
Well, Walt had a wonderful career on the Topeka Police Department. He retired, and I had to keep working for many years so we could have health insurance.
Oh, there we
that
go.
thing.
Okay.
And so we were just looking forward to me retiring, and we had a whole lot of things we had planned to do in our retirement.
Yeah.
And he was, we thought, pretty healthy. He, other than just arthritis and, some of the things that come along from playing football.
Yeah.
He walked 2 miles a day and
Oh, nice.
just was very active. But in 2022, he went in for his annual physical, and he told the doctor he had this cough, and it was chalked up to seasonal allergies, and he kept coughing and coughing. And so a few weeks later, I was like, let's go in and get some prescription cough medicine.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another, and came out with a lung cancer diagnosis.
Wow.
Which we were just not expecting.
Yeah.
He never smoked.
Yeah.
And like I said, had felt pretty good. And
Yeah.
and then suddenly, you hear that cancer word, and it just turns your life
Yeah.
upside down.
Yeah.
So we had, about 6 months of him feeling pretty decent. He was doing chemo and
Okay.
then had some radiation, but he was tolerating it pretty well.
Okay.
And then 6 months where things were pretty tough.
Really rough. Okay.
Right.
And he passed away in June of 23, so not quite a year
Wow.
after
That
that
feels so
first appointment.
fast.
Yeah.
So fast.
So
And at any point in that, like, chemo radiation, did it feel like there was remission, or things were like, was there ever a time where you're like, okay, this is going to get better?
well, you always pray
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that will happen, and we know that God can
Yep.
heal, and
Yes.
of course we were praying for that.
Yeah.
But like I said, the first 6 months it was like okay, and
Could
they
do
thought
this.
it had kind of slowed.
Okay.
It wasn't anything that they could, operate
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
just because of the location. And then we got through the holiday season, and then January hit, and it was kind of a downhill slide after
Really?
that. So we had,
Okay.
like I said, about 6 months of pretty tough stuff.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
we knew that God could heal him, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing all this
Yeah,
with us,
thank
by
you
the way.
so much.
And cry freely during this period, because honestly, what is.
I'm surprised I haven't yet on here.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Never have you? Okay. Well, we can make that happen soon.
It's his new mission.
Yeah. If we try hard enough, we could probably make that happen. So there was sounds like maybe a period of time in between that January and June section where things were going downhill, and you maybe were, starting to prepare for this is probably going to happen. And during that period, we talked during the sickness week with Kent Pope, and he was talking about being diagnosed, and they're telling people or choosing not to tell people. What was it like for you guys, either bringing community in or feeling like you wanted to keep community out sometimes in that year-long process, and especially towards the end there?
Well, it was really hard at first. And, of course, you start with your family and kind of your inner circle.
Yeah.
But we had both had, I don't know, kind of public careers, if you will.
Yeah.
And it was kind of hard to include some of those, acquaintances. But over time, you got to the point where you kind of knew
Okay.
who needed to know and who it was just like
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
not anything I want to talk about.
Yeah. Right.
I was trying to continue working, and and so.
Oh
But
man, you were trying to continue working
Yeah.
that
Well-
whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
as
you
much as
still
I
needed
could.
the health insurance, obviously.
Yeah.
Holy
Yes.
cow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so tough. Okay.
I wasn't quite old enough to get on Medicare yet.
Oh, okay.
And so
And if you only knew what Reva did,
so
she was the head of an amazing organization.
When she was
Yes.
working still to keep that. Wow.
and
okay.
I was just so blessed, had a great team of folks around me that could keep things rolling at work. Our kids were all close, and they just stepped up in a major way.
Oh, that's awesome.
to help out, and then of course my church family.
Yeah.
And I've said so many times, I don't know how people get through an experience like this if they don't have faith, if they don't have that network of
That
support.
support.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So Joe talked to last time. I think he's going to talk this weekend. There was no run through today, by the way. So if we mess this up, it's not our fault. About prayer and practical support, prayer presence and practical support in these time frames. So tell me a little bit about that. What did it look like for prayer to maybe be used or come alive for you guys during that time?
Well, again, we were very involved in a small group that were there for all of those things. And of course, we have other friends that are believers. I just felt surrounded by prayer constantly.
Yeah.
Good.
And that was amazing. And people would just out of the blue send a text or call and say, I'm praying for you today. I'm thinking about you today. And it just made so much difference.
And then the text can be so life-giving in a moment.
I know. And, all these, people would send me a song. I heard the song. I thought of you.
Nice.
I heard Lauren Daigle in Walmart at 6 in the morning. I mean, do you ever hear Lauren Daigle in Walmart? It's like, thank you, God. I needed that. But, I just felt so surrounded by prayers. And then the presence, people just showed up. Again, both when he was, going through the treatments, but then also after. My kids just were there at every turn. Their friends
so good.
just stepped up in an incredible way. So, and then the practical help, that's probably where, honestly, I struggled the most, partly because it's hard to ask people for help.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, initially, you don't even know
what you need.
Yes.
My first major meltdown was over a water sprinkler, of all things. I mean, when Walt put a sprinkler on a hose, he put it on there to stay. And do you think I could get that thing off of there? So I'm sitting out in the backyard just bawling.
Oh, my goodness.
Of course, then my son-in-law comes over to rescue and says, they make these things called quick disconnects. I'd never even heard of these.
Oh, nice.
So,
Yeah.
you just learn all kinds of new things that you never knew you needed to know.
I was talking to a woman whose husband also recently passed a couple weeks ago, and that was the exact same statement of you just don't know what you need until it pops up. And then she was talking about her fridge breaking down, something small in her fridge breaking down. Her husband always fixed that stuff. Right. And there's this mixture of anger that he was gone. Like, it just brings back a wave of emotion. So anger that he was gone, frustration that you can't fix it yourself, and then just sad, like so much sadness.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, a little shelf in the fridge breaking can bring all of that back.
So much, yes.
Yeah, that's just crazy. Yeah. Lorraine, I know you've been through a lot of death in your own, like, kind of life experience story. You okay opening the door on that for us?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. My first, and a lot of people wouldn't call this young, but when you lose your mom at 38, it just feels, it feels young now to me, but as an older woman. Yeah. But when I was 38, my mother passed away, and it was suddenly. And so it was shocking. And then because my mother was my dad's caregiver, and I'm the only one here in town, I became kind of his main caregiver and would get help from my sisters and brothers,
occasionally.
Like, on the weekends and things like that. So, and then he passed away about 6 years later. Wow. And in between there, my sister passed away. Wow. And so I'd say within a 7-year period, there was a lot of loss for me. And I just had never dealt with it. So it was just, it was all new to me, especially with my mom. And then 6 years ago, we lost a grandchild, and it was just devastating, tragic, devastating. And so, I've lost someone suddenly, I've lost someone tragically, and I've lost a dad who we just knew it was just going to take time. But we watched him over time. And they're all different. They're all different. So,
were you a believer through all that?
Great question, because I grew up in religion, let's just call it that, and with a religious background, but it was just all go to church, there was no relationship with Jesus. I didn't really even know any of that. And so when my mother passed away, I was just already in that place. So over the years, I knew there was something missing. And it was just constantly whispering at me, there's more than this, there's more than this. And then my mother passed away, and it was screaming at me. And I called my sister one day. I remember being, of all places, we just remember these weird places you have phone calls. And I'm sitting on the garage floor just in tears. And I said, Charlene, yes, I'm grieving and this is terrible, but there's just something else. Something's missing from my life. What do I, I'm thinking it's
able
my
to put it into words that clearly too. Okay.
She said, "Oh, honey, it's Jesus."
Really?
Yes, because she'd already, found Jesus and been saved, and so it was just. So it was probably a month or two after my mother passed away. I sat on the floor and asked Jesus into my life because she explained everything to me.
That's amazing.
It was so, and then I just dove in because I was so hungry. So
how, like, dealing with the next couple of deaths with Jesus, what was the difference in kind of the way you processed and handled?
So much better. I mean, each one, obviously I grew and matured as a believer with each one. And then we were coming here, and the same with you. I had so many good, godly people around me. And by the time things happened with Carter, my grandson, my grief had taken me to such utter dependence upon God that I had such an intimate relationship with God and Jesus. And so it was my saving grace, because I not only had to walk my way through it, but I had to hold my family up. My husband and I had to help our children get through this devastation. So, it was everything. He was everything during that time.
Reva, what was that like for you guys in the process of the diagnosis and then eventual death? Like, how did your relationship with God deepen, grow, change? How did your experience or intimacy with Him kind of grow during that time?
We definitely grew closer to Him, just totally dependent.
Yes.
And thought I had been dependent before, but then, it just continued. And we just knew that whatever the outcome, He was in control.
How quickly did you get to that place? I mean, did you go through the stages of why Walt, why us, like anger, and did you have to process through all of that to get to the eventual surrender place, or did you get there pretty quick?
Yes, to all. I think grief is just really tricky.
Doesn't play by the rules, that's for sure.
One day you say, okay, God, I know you've got this. I know you're in control. You're at peace with that. And then the next day it's like, no, this should not be happening.
Yeah. And you're like, I thought I was past that, but nope. Yeah.
So just one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. And with that deepened dependence upon the Lord, how did that show itself in other areas of your, like, how did that come out of you in ways that were maybe surprising to people who don't have faith? Did you get any comments from either, coworkers or doctors or nurses or anything in that process about, wow, I'm surprised you're handling this as well as you are?
Well, people would make the comment, oh, you're so strong. It's like, nope, no, I'm not, but I know a guy.
Well said.
And there were opportunities to talk about, we don't know what the outcome of this is going to be, but we know that God's in control.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And this includes with a decent amount of people that maybe aren't following Jesus. And so
definitely.
Yeah. A great witness, like an incredible witness to other people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I would have rather it happened in a different way.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So, Lorraine, take that prayer, presence, practical help piece, and I know you have, a couple situations you can think through, but in what ways has that, been helpful for you to see?
Yeah. So when Carter passed away, Joe did the service, and I will never forget because he told everyone to take their phones out and put this date in their phone. And not only that, put 2 weeks from now in your phone. And at the time, I was just totally brain fog, right? Because I'm just in the service. Didn't really pay any attention to it until texts would come in, week after week after week, and people would be, and it was just so kind. It was life-giving. I would just get, and there were people that weren't there that were just like Reva that just were so kind and, hey, I'm praying for you today. Or if somebody ever stopped and just prayed over me, it just felt, it felt so good because I was doing that constantly anyway. And so that was like, for me, that was my strength. I would go to my closet or I'd go out on a walk and I'd, fall to the ground or whatever it took. And I would just cry with Jesus and pray with him. So, or just really just kind of cry out to him. But I did find some verses and stuff. So prayer was just, it was huge. Presence was, I remember a few times, first with my mom, it was my first situation with loss. And so my best friends left, it was the middle of the day. I remember my best friends left work and just came and just sat with me on the couch. And I just remember that. And then again with Carter, when you have a situation like that, people have no idea what to say.
Totally lost.
Everyone's in shock. Everyone's just devastated. And I will never forget one of my friends just came over and she said, I have no idea what to say, but I knew that I wanted to show up. And she gave me a hug. And to me, her courage just it meant everything to me. Just that hug from her meant so much.
And the ability to still show up and then admit, like, I have no idea what to say.
Yes.
Like, that's courage,
It
too.
was so courageous, and I loved that. So, and I don't even know if we can put donuts under practical help, but
I like it.
Somebody just showing
I have
up
so
and
many
dropping off
stories,
donuts.
but the sweetest one that constantly comes back to my mind is there was a man in our small group, and he had no idea what to say or do. And he every morning would just put, something different on our porch and leave. Like we just kind of, and it was so, I will never forget the one morning there was chocolate donuts, which is just my favorite. And of course, for days you may not even want to eat. You may not want to, but I will never forget how good that chocolate donut, just sitting there crying, just how good that felt and tasted. It felt like love from someone who just knew Lorraine loves a chocolate donut.
I'm kind of surprised.
Glazed chocolate, not
not a cake,
not
donut.
A
fully chocolate cake.
But yeah, I will never forget that. He had no idea what to do, but what he did meant so much. He just would leave a little something every morning just to make sure we were.
That's so sweet. That's so sweet. Reva, you talked in your stories. You talked about how your kids showed up in a ton of ways. Like, what were some of the most helpful things that they did or ways that they showed up for you in that time frame?
Oh, I don't even know how I could begin to count them. They mowed the grass. They, I would send a text. We were at the hospital. Somebody would go over and take care of our dogs. Just all the things that you have to take care of when you're. And he was so in and out of the hospital, especially that last, month or so, that, and they just figured it out. I never even knew who was going to do what, but whether it was grocery shopping or dog duty or my mother is in an assisted living and she didn't know what was happening. And so they would go and, step in and go see her. And they just did lots and lots of things to keep us all.
Keep life going, like to keep stuff afloat. Absolutely. And then what were some of the most helpful ways your church community and small group kind of stepped into the practical help?
Oh,
did you get chocolate donuts? Is basically
I
what I'm
didn't
getting
get
to.
chocolate donuts. No, I didn't. But
Come
plenty
on,
of
Mitch.
other food. Food is our love language.
Yeah.
So, just between my church family and our neighbors.
Nice neighbors
would
too.
show up with food, and then of course after Walt passed, the first time it snowed, I woke up and I'm like,
yeah.
it snowed.
Oh yeah.
And somebody came and graded my driveway, and it was just like,
so kind.
Yeah, I walked out and it was done, and it was
that's
just
so
like,
great.
had to ask the neighbor who to thank because it just magically happened. But people do want to help, and
some of the things that come up when I'm maybe in grief share class, or people who are trying to aid those that are grieving, it'll come. It just naturally comes out sometimes. Let me know what you need. What people don't understand is that grief paralyzes the mind. You just have you can't think straight. You can't form words. There's such terrible brain fog. And so really asking someone, tell me what you need, is kind of putting the weight back on them.
Yeah.
It's like adding to their burden. And so I've just always, and this is just something I've learned in my own grief. And so I advise people, hey, be specific and say, give them several choices. Can I bring you dinner on Tuesday? I would like to grocery shop for you. What do you need this week? Just kind of don't even turn it into a question. Just, I'd love to come and mow your yard this week. Would that be okay?
Nice.
Just kind of, it's like taking something from them without putting something on their lap of what do you need? Because like Reva said,
you
don't even know
in that moment,
and
what
you don't
need.
care.
Yeah.
You really don't care.
Yeah, right. That is
but
the
honestly,
least of
when
your thoughts.
but honestly, when my friends came and didn't even ask, they just cleaned and picked up the house because all the family was coming. I didn't care about that, but it was lovely that it was done, right? And so, yeah.
Wow, that's so sweet.
One of the most thoughtful gifts I got was a huge box full of paper stuff, like paper plates and plastic forks,
nice.
And you just don't even think, but you don't want to do dishes.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
oh, that's so thoughtful.
And you're so right. You're paralyzed. You don't always know even what to ask for.
Right.
Yeah. I loved the story about Joe having people pull out and put stuff in as a reminder in their calendars. This is true for so many of us. Well, especially present leading up to Walt's passing. People are on alert. They're thinking about it. They're praying about it. How was it on the other side of it? Is there any advice you would give to people on helping people after, somebody has passed? What would you say?
I think just keep showing up. A lot of times, 2 weeks after the funeral, the rest of the world's kind of moved on.
Yeah.
And yet there's just still a lot of need there. So just staying in touch, reaching out, later when maybe family has gone home and things have, kind of settled down a little bit, and, bringing coffee, going out for coffee.
Yeah.
Donuts
inviting them to do things.
We should get a sponsor, a Krispy Kreme or a Daylight, or we should. This is crazy. That's great. Again, so the presence piece needs to be still there after for a long time. Okay, so did you guys, in your grief, and this is something we talked about again with the sickness piece, did you have a tendency or temptation to isolate? Did you want to lock the doors, put up the walls, and shut stuff out? Or were you like, man, I wish people were here with me right then?
I had two big dogs demanding that I get out of bed every day, so so there was that. It kept me on a schedule. I didn't struggle with the isolation. I know sometimes I think that's a temptation because things are just heavy and hard, and sometimes you just would like to stay in bed and pull the covers up. But like I said, that was not an option in my world. But my thing is, I thought about that and think about that is almost the opposite. I felt like everybody I ever, considered a friend wanted to have coffee or have lunch or have. I was like, my calendar was just jammed, and I got to that point where I just had to say
no.
Okay.
And take a breath. And so I guess my takeaway from that and what I would share with someone else is, if you ask and they say no, ask again a couple of weeks later.
Okay. That's a wonderful advice. Yes.
Because sometimes it's just too much in that moment. But 2 weeks later or a month later, they might really welcome that invitation for, dinner or coffee or donuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember our family was such this is way back, my mother. We were all in shock because their grandmother died. And anyway, we all kind of shut the doors and we were together for that first, 24 hours. Well, actually, you don't even get 24 hours because you have to go right into planning. But those first 12 hours, we really needed that time to just cry together. But, after that, your friends show up and just let them. And I remember the second time, or actually the fourth time, but it was with Carter, my kids and everyone was like, I said, what I want you to remember is when people come by or when people, that is God's provision for you. So please it's okay. You don't have to say much or spend much time, but just think of it as God's provision and just thank him for that. And so I did a lot of kind of healthy isolation is what I would call it with my grandson. It was just so devastating. And so I would just I spent a lot of time alone with Jesus, but we had so many people as well. And we would go over to be with our family as well. So what I like to tell people is that, because you feel that way, right? There's just times when you're feeling so devastated, you don't want to be around anyone, and that's okay. But when you have too many days in a row like that and the darkness seeps in, you have to reach out for help. You have to accept someone's invitation. I just plead with people, please just know, too many days in a row, and that's just, it gets dark. You need people. Yeah.
So we've talked in general about people oftentimes don't know what to say.
Yes.
They'll come over. The presence is important. Is there anything on a super practical note that you would tell people? Somebody said this to me that was not helpful, and maybe don't say stuff like that. Anything that you would want to tell people? I know you said already, and I liked that. Like, don't say, "Let me know if you need anything."
Right.
Like, offer stuff. But anything else that you would, train people not to say?
I think, you're in such a fragile emotional state. Sometimes the comments that hurt me the most were almost indirect.
Oh.
So, we're praying for somebody, and because they're such a good Christian, we know God's going to heal them.
Oh, man.
And then you feel like,
shoot, right.
So they weren't even talking to me.
Yeah.
But those indirect things, even sometimes celebrations, somebody celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary, and you're happy for them, but then it brings that sadness too. So I guess just an awareness of, people's emotions are doing, strange things, and to just be cognizant of that. And I know I try to be a lot more careful about, how I choose my words around people that I know are hurting.
Yes, it's so true. Yeah. This is kind of in that category, but I remember my daughter-in-law, Jennifer, telling me, nobody wants to talk about Carter. Nobody wants to bring it up. And it's a natural thing, right? Nobody wants to bring up the person that you just lost because they don't want to add more hurt to you. They don't want to cause you any more pain. But to be honest, you're already in pain.
Yeah.
And I remember Jennifer telling me, I want to talk about him. I need to talk about him. And so I learned a lot with that one. It's okay to talk about their loved one that they've lost. Yeah. You can ask them, would you like to share some memories with me? Would you like to talk about that? Or, just ask a simple question. And if they don't go into detail, then
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But don't shy away. It's not like the person never existed.
Exactly.
It is a huge part of their life. And so I think it can be very healing and very joyful for the person to talk about it.
Yeah.
They're already in pain all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a great point. Reva, what do you love the most in talking about Walt? When, like, if somebody were to come up to you and bring Walt up and you would leave that conversation feeling honored, like somebody was remembering not only you, but him, like what kind of how has that happened since then in a way that you would encourage other people to be bold or willing to have those conversations?
Like Lorraine said, it just means a lot when somebody says, oh, he was such a good friend, or, I remember those fishing trips we used to take, or whatever it is, that they are remembering him as a person.
Yeah.
And that they honor those the times that they spent with him, the laughs that they had with him. He was. They broke the mold when they made that man. He had quite a sense of humor, but not everyone saw that. He was, especially in his professional life. It was like. So it was always good. And it felt good to know that people cared about him and saw how he cared about other people.
Yeah. Is there ever a time when you don't want somebody to do that? Or is any time somebody comes up and mentions Walt in a positive light is a blessing? Would you say it's a blessing?
I've already run into some folks that, asked, well, where is he? They didn't know.
Yeah.
That can kind of catch off guard a little bit.
Okay.
But, it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen. So I'm like you. I just think we want to keep his memory alive and enjoy those silly stories.
Yes.
All those good times.
They can be, that's where the joy and the sorrow, they kind of marry together when you get to talk about them. It's sorrowful but joyful at the same time.
But so it feels like an important part of the healing process.
Yeah,
Whenever you're sitting in both of those emotions at the same time, it feels like you're healing. Yeah.
For sure.
Open question to either of you. What other advice would you have? Anything else that you want to share for our congregation as they, walk life alongside people going through the same things?
Yeah. I say it's okay if you don't know what to say or to do. Just show up. Just hug, pray with them. Stop and pray with them. Pray for them for sure. Reach out, text.
Actually, I was going to bring that up. You both mentioned text as like a very important part. And sometimes I was just going to ask a clarifying question. Presence, when I think of presence, I think of physical presence, like being there. Yeah. Do you count a text would you count a text as presence?
I think in the moment, it does. It feels like someone's here.
Someone's thinking of you, someone's there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And that seems, especially if people are scared, right?
Yes.
To be present, that's a much easier way to show that you're thinking and caring and stuff is to send that text.
And I think that's a great idea. If you have someone close to you that has lost someone, put that date in your phone. Put a reminder every, however close you are. If you're close, obviously you're not going to need that reminder. But if you're somewhat close, put a reminder every month to reach out and check on them. And I got a lot of texts the 1 year mark. And I knew that was because of what Joe had said. Yeah. And it felt sweet. So.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No,
do you
okay.
remember the rest of what you were saying? That's on me. Otherwise,
I don't remember what we were talking about.
Did you? I asked for general advice, and you talked
Yeah.
about people sometimes don't know what to say. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it's okay if you don't know what to say. Don't pull out something if you don't know what to say. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'd like to do this for you, or I just think that was probably one of the biggest things I've learned is just not asking people that, and it's so natural to do that. What can I do for you? So I think that's probably my biggest advice is just think of something that would be even if it won't be a blessing to that person. Just this guy had no idea I like chocolate donuts. He just hit it.
Now
he
the
hit
whole world knows.
I do expect you to be
hit
getting
it,
a
and
lot
he
of
brought
chocolate
other
donuts.
things the other mornings, and so but he had no idea. He just did something, and it was just so it felt like love because it was out of someone's comfort zone.
Yeah.
They had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
So they didn't come in and try to say the wrong things. They just left something. It felt sweet and love. It felt like love.
Yeah.
Care.
Any other thoughts, Reva?
Well, the only other thing that I would say is, and I think we've kind of talked about it, but saying nothing is better than giving unsolicited advice or, I mean,
Yes.
That's well said.
I know people have good
intentions. Yeah.
But, when they come in and act like, well, you should be doing this or
Yeah.
what? It's 3 months now. You haven't done whatever. And that's just not helpful.
Yeah. We talk about that a lot in Grief Share because everyone, we talked about this on the other podcast too, like everyone's situation is different. And so do not compare yours to theirs. If your situation is something that makes you understand theirs, great. Come alongside. But remember, they have their own, grief is just different for everyone, and everyone does it differently. And that is another big piece of advice. I will never forget someone told me, I didn't believe them, but when it first happened with Carter, and we lost Carter, I was warned very gently and sweetly that be careful because everyone grieves differently, and you'll have trouble. You may have trouble in your family unit because of that. The expectations of what you're not grieving the way I'm grieving. So it's so important to remember that everyone has their own way of grieving. If you don't feel like someone's grieving healthily, then just have a sweet conversation with them or pray for them mostly because you don't want to.
Yeah, right.
So, but just know everyone's going to grieve differently, and it doesn't mean they're grieving
wrongly
Yeah.
or less than. It's just different.
And you mentioned Grief Share. That was such a lifeline for me.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do this, how to navigate this, and I think that program and that curriculum is so healing for people.
Yeah.
They give so many examples that really help you process things in a healthy way.
Right. I get to look at the beautiful legacy I get to look back and see what God has done with my own loss, because my daughter-in-law Jennifer went through Grief Share twice. And then she said, I'd like to lead it whenever you have an opening. So then she led it. Was she your leader? Yeah, she was Reva's leader. And then Reva, after a while, stepped up, and now Reva is my leader.
Yeah.
And Jennifer's coming back this fall. So they're kind of doing it co-leading. And so
That's so cool.
Yeah, I love looking at that and going, okay, thanks God that he
uses uses
all of
the
it.
darkest
We have
moments.
to let him.
Yeah, right.
We have to let him. But I'm telling you, everything that I've trusted to the Lord, my pain, my story, everything, it's not mine, it's his. I've not regretted any of it. And there's so much healing in helping others. So much healing. The healer becomes the healed is kind of what I've always heard in counseling, and it's true.
That's awesome. Reva, thank you for being on this, for sharing your story, and for doing it this weekend too. I mean, it's tough to get into, so we are really appreciative of that. Lorraine, you as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing with us.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Reva.
Yeah. Lorraine, will you pray for our congregation as we
Yes.
seek to be equipped in this way?
Yes.
Thanks.
Dear Father, we are so thankful for your constant love, your everlasting love that does not leave us in the shadow of death all by ourselves. Thank you, Shepherd, that you walk us through that. You never, you told us that we would have trouble in this world, but you have overcome the world. And so thank you that you are our hope. You are the rock on which all of us stands. Lord, everyone out there who is dealing with a loss, Lord, I just pray that you would comfort them and put all the right people in their path and circumstances in their path, community in their path, Lord, to draw them nearer to you. And all those who are helping someone in the grieving process, Lord, draw them nearer to you, fill them up and give them the right wisdom and countenance to walk these people through just the right love. Love is really the big word. Your perfect love, just have it work through all of us to help those who are struggling out there. Lord, we just thank you for this time together. Thank you for Reva coming and sharing her story. Thank you for Doug, who's the most wonderful host every time. And we just thank you for your faithfulness. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Well, thank you, church family, for tuning in to this week's episode of the Deeper Podcast, and we will catch you all next time.